right to it. Kyrie Irving, bring your ass to the stage, my boy. The pack is going up. On behalf of, I have friends that are Jewish. I have grown up around Jewish people probably my whole life without realizing it or anything like that. I think the things that he shared were absolutely abhorrent. I spoke with a friend of mine that thinks Kyrie Irving is the dumbest athlete that has ever like lived, and only compared him to like John Rocker. It all, like, much in the same way that we were saying about Kanye, where all the stuff was leading here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what has been going on with Kyrie for years, and it was on this Earth is flat stuff, the vaccine.
Bro, it's crazy.
It's like you can just draw a straight line.
Bro, it went from 2017, I think, was when like the flat Earth thing, and people were like, "What?" And then 5 years later, we're here.
Absolutely disgusting. So if you guys didn't know what happened, if you're on the rock, Kyrie Irving sent out a tweet promoting some documentary that was said to be like this. It was like this Jews and slave ships. Like,
okay, so he sold it, or sorry, he posted the link to it under the guise of this is like lost history.
I'm sure
of,
it is.
of our African ancestry. And I'm from Florida, born and raised. There hasn't been much time, many days I've spent outside of this state. So like I don't running into a black Israelite or like a 5%er or like anybody outside of Christian faith as black, like I don't really run into that. But I know up north, like you run into Muslims, like Nation of Islam, the Fruit, all that. Like you run into black Israelites, you run into all of that, and like around a lot of all of that is a real easy like Venn diagram, and the center circle is like all of this stuff, and then it comes to eventually some form of anti-Semitism, right? By way of black people or the chosen people of God, and like Jews have, and and according to them, like Jewish people, European Jewish people have like hidden that, and then they talk about a lot of the same things that, like, quite frankly, like people in the KKK talk about when they talk about Jewish people, or Nazis talk about when they talk about Jewish people, which
there's
is
a lot of strange
there's
overlap
a disproportionate when they talk about when they talk about and say stuff like there's a disproportionate amount of access and control they have, and blah 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 blah, and then they go into then saying all the next stuff like let's round them up and all that other bullshit that goes further than that. So
there's a lot of strange overlap in some of these things that you wouldn't think make sense, but when you examine it, it's like, oh, I see what y'all got in common.
Right. Like, for example, like Kyrie Irving and Brian Kendrick have nothing to do together, but except they're both gigantic conspiracy theorists. Therefore, when you think of a lot of the big conspiracy theory stuff out there, like it's always a rock's throw away from eventually getting into some version of anti-Semitism, which is fucking problematic because these are people that were slaughtered, right? And then you also have people that talk about, well, how many really got slaughtered? It was like, okay, stop there. Don't want to talk with you. We're done. I'm done. I am not suffering any conversation talking about, Holocaust denial in any way, shape, or form. I'm not doing it with anyone. So, when you see that Kyrie like
shares this thing,
shares that link, people immediately go to, well, wait, that book has this in it. Would obviously look, not a shocker. False, disproven. That's the word I'm looking for. Disproven quotes, disproven history stuff that is things kind of like the Willie Lynch stuff that is like been said a lot, but not actually no proof of actual existence and stuff. And so it was like, and so it was curious.
Unchecked.
Yeah, unverified. Yeah, so it was curious. So I was like, what? It's like, oh no, he's a black. And at first I was, oh no, he's black. He's on to we're all kings and queens thing. It's like, oh, like okay.
Got news for everybody. We all weren't.
Right. Like, how does that work? We were all kings and queens. So who was doing the labor to make the cities in infrastructure work? Like when we were in the motherland, that doesn't like that same thing when people talk about cities, right? Like there needs to be affordable housing so that there can be people to do all of these jobs to make the city work for literally these rich motherfuckers on the Upper East Side. Like you can't do one without the other. But whatever. Besides the point, get back to Kyrie. Then the quotes. So once I saw people say this book is anti-Semitic, I was like, and I saw some quotes from the book. I was like, oh, bad. Wow. Like, okay, so it's based off this book, but it isn't a movie. Let's see how bad this gets. And then people start pulling into the quotes from the movie, and they start referencing quotes from Adolf Hitler. I was like, oh no, weird. Open and shut, Case Johnson. Sprinkle some crack on them. It's a wrap. And then after the Saturday night game, the press conference, just
comes out here and refuses to elaborate about anything. He displays grade 1 levels of engaging in conversation. He is pretty much, he has this air about himself where it's like he knows the answers. Everyone else is stupid for not knowing the answers.
Right. He's condescending.
Happening.
He's condescending, especially to media, because he doesn't feel like the media has been nice to him throughout his career, even though a good deal of it is self-inflicted, but still, and because of that, like he gets asked a question that isn't fair, like, why did you post this? Why do you promote this? And then he's arguing, say, well, I just posted the link. That's not promotion.
I'm like, no, that's literally what it is. It's like the problems with a lot of people is like they don't like know the definitions of things, or like they'd be like, yo, when you tell them what it is, like, no, it's not that. No, that's literally what it is, and that's because they're post fact. And this ties in with that Elon Musk check stuff. Like people use the checks on Twitter for safety concerns, verification, like stuff like that. It's like
because places that you need like legitimate news outlets, New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, hell, even Fox News. You need to be able to go on to social media and be able to find the links or the accounts that are from these particular media outlets, or from these particular brands, or from these particular celebrities. So you curb off and curtail disinformation. However,
like
what have we been dealing with the last, since 2015?
By deconstructing all that, everything just becomes the Wild West. And then it's like, there is no like agreed upon fact. Like people think facts are opinions when like they are not. Like I'm like, this is a cigar, and then like, no, it's not. But like, yes, it is. Like, and then like it's just a natural tension right there. We knew Kyrie was reposting the Alex Jones stuff, which is absolutely ridiculous. We have the him moving forward on this thing now, and it's just like, this is sad. Like, and it is embarrassing, and the strange silence around the league to me doesn't say a lot for the league, because I know Kyrie Irving's not the only person.
Why.
Kyrie Irving's not the only person that feels like this.
Bingo. Because look, the league is what, like 80% black, and the NBA has sold itself as being the most liberal major North American promotion, or major sports promotion, or company, or league in North America, and that is to appeal towards a majority white fan base or market, right? So the people that they're appealing to are liberal leaning. Black men are liberal leaning only in vote. You take out literally any other
like
you take out race. You take out race
if you
out
put
of anything.
all the ingredients in a blank cereal box, like
right. Like, so for example, right, I think it's like over 95% of black women vote democratically, right? Vote liberally, right? It's like 80, it's somewhere in the 80s for black men. Right? And then think about what we've seen when we see some of these dudes out here talk about they voted for Trump, or they're wearing MAGA stuff, or they're trying to, or they're quote unquote co-opting, or they don't understand what the big deal is. It's because the misogyny of this stuff appeals to them more than the part where like they hate black people. Like, and that's the part that gets lost in the intersectionality. So when I say all of this, the thing that is why like it's so damning of the conservative party in this country is that like we know plenty of people. Look, black people on just on percentage, more black people believe in God in this country than white people do, right? You want to talk about stuff in correlating to thoughts and feelings on resentment towards homosexuals. There's a lot of that in the community. There, misogyny, a lot of that in the community, right? The only thing that's keeping them out there, the only thing that's keeping them out of voting, that you know, this particular demographic from voting. Sorry, go ahead.
The obsession with capitalism.
Yes, that too, because you know that's also a linchpin and a bedrock to try to pull themselves out of that. They think, even though. Nah, they'll still be white people still be racist to you. But I get that, you know, but so I get their logic behind it, but when you examine it from a macro level, no, you'll still just be a rich dude, and they'll still be a rich dude, and they'll still say all type of stuff about you, which literally like, yeah, right, and it'll drive you even more mad or insane, or make you know start saying stuff about Jewish people like Kanye. Like think about you know, watch The Throne 2010 or 11 or whenever that was, and think of like look at where Kanye is going from there. He's going off the deep end. So my point was like you look at all of that, or you look at a lot of that, and the only thing that is keeping 85% of black men, in theory, is that thing where they know like these people in the Republican Party like don't give a damn about us. In fact, do everything literally in spite of us trying to gain equity in this country more than the Democrats. So we'll vote for the lesser evil in theory, right? Like, so, but that's the one thing holding it. That's the one thing holding it. To me, it seems like that's the one thing holding it. Like if the Republicans weren't racist, it'd be a wrap. Like, but whatever. Like,
But on the Kyrie thing, like,
yeah. So so like, yeah, man. Like, it's so when we talk about the league or whatever, so you see the thing. Like, look, LeBron want to say what? He talked about saying whoever's lyrics it was talking about, you know, Jewish money. I've seen him in the barbershop series talk about like, you know, the things we always hear, right? We need to be insulated as a community amongst ourselves, like how the Chinese or the Vietnamese or the Jewish people, that always comes up. And like the thing is, like, also I think that black people don't understand, a lot of black people don't understand like the stereotypes for like discrimination against Jewish people isn't the same as the demonstration against black people. We feel like we are the dirt worst because of slavery and Jim Crow and Reconstruction and all that. And I'm not getting into the Olympics of it. I'm not getting into who gets the gold medal for oppression. Not doing that. But when you think of the stereotypes that white people have for black people as being stupid, being lazy, hyper violent, hypersexual, all of that stuff, right? And then the stereotypes for Jewish people are well organized. They have a lot of money. They because of banking or being lawyers or all that kind of stuff. And they control money and power and Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. And they say, well, damn, those are good stereotypes to have. But it's like, no. You think they are until all of a sudden they put your great nana into that fucking kiln. Like, so no. Because it's all resentment. White people resent black people, and white people resent Jewish people for different reasons, but it's still resentment. And that resentment will lead towards attempt extermination.
It'll lead to all this crossover too. This crossover of like pulling,
but for some reason we don't. Yeah. So like when we say this kind of nonsense, we don't recognize that it is nonsense, and then we end up with people saying a lot of things that we've heard similar to Kyrie over the years of throughout our whole lives. So, I gotta say, like, I've had so many of these conversations, and I've heard so much of this stuff in places, and I'm just like, I immediately check out. Like, at this point, I just check out. I'm not going to try to argue with these people. They made up their mind. I don't rock with them. It's over there. Yeah,
I was talking to someone I know in real life on Twitter about it, and I was just like befuddled on the amount of cap that he was saying that he just didn't understand like what the issue was here, and I'm like, I can't believe this, but it is shameful what Kyrie is doing and the deniability of everything, and just
this is such a childish deniability. It's like, I didn't promote it, I merely posted it, and for those that I offended
over the semantics, and
right, and for those I didn't offend, and for those who I offended, it wasn't meant to offend you. It was to educate my people. You're teaching your people garbage. That offends me.
If he's trying to teach something, please let it come from a book with a barcode.
Yeah, man, it's a mess.
Fuck. It's a mess. And then with the Kanye Kyrie thing, these are clearly people that don't fucking read.
Yeah. And at least with Kanye, he flat out tells you he doesn't read. Right, he wears it as a badge of honor. He lets you off. Yeah, he wears a badge of honor. He straight off tells you all vibes. With Kyrie, he'll be like, yeah, I read. I watch things all the time. I had plenty of time in off season. He said that at that press conference on Saturday, and it's like,
sir, YouTube University is not a school.
The smile you have on your face is like, bro, we're looking at you and we're like, bro, you're reading disinformation. Like you're reading, like you're whatever, man. Like
lost cause.
It is sad because like I have always thought of Kyrie as a sensational, fun watch, but like ultimately a player that is a luxury if he's on a winning team. Like I don't think he is someone that like you can quite frankly trust, and that's been proven over the last 5 years. But he seemed to have, but at the time before it's gone bad over the last 5 years. Before that, like it seemed that like he just wanted to play ball and that was it. And then as he gained leadership, he showed more of his personality. And like now I can see why, like you talk about those Cavs years, like people used to say that like he was kind of aloof, kind of standoffish, kind of like not space cadet because that wasn't the term. It was more like he was quick to disassociate and kind of go into loner mode at times. And I used to think, all right, well, people have bad days. It is what it is. It's fine. He comes some slack. Like he comes through and comes and plays, whatever else. And he's played this year, but like once he starts missing the games for this and the third and all this kind of stuff, I started like, okay, bro, like what is it? And then the bubble thing happened where like he wanted to come to the bubble and not play. And then they told him, don't come to the bubble if you're not going to play. And then like talked to other people. Cause like Kyrie is a very popular in league circles. He's always been popular in league circles. Right. So like when Woj wrote that thing calling him a disruptor, people immediately said, no, he's not. We all love Kyrie, whatever else. Like, and then as years progress, you see how much further this and weird this thing has gotten with him, and it's like, he has on multiple occasions
filthy.
said that like basketball is not the biggest thing for him, and that's perfectly fine to try to find a life work balance when you're as talented as that dude is, right? It may piss off some people that will never be close to that talented at anything in their lives as Kyrie is with dribbling and finishing it around the basket. But that is what it is. People get tapped on the head with gifts. Some and people are able to awaken them. Some just don't, or some can't awaken them. It is what it is. But I thought that, like, you know, after last year, how bad it was, he would take some type of accountability, like, you know, given the situation he's in, given that like he's on the end of on the last year of a big money deal, and like he's supposed to be a contract where he plays himself and get his, you know, his last max contract or whatever else.
And
stats, that's never.
Like, it's like he's showing up, like, statistically, it seems like.
But you wouldn't want him on your team.
No.
Hell no.
No, this is not worth the risk. This is not worth the PR. This is not worth the headache. Like,
bro,
like you've seen how he act when he's not in the contract year. Come on, man.
And you know, thinking back, like last year when you know, the Palestinian Israeli conflict, when he taught, you know, pro Palestine out, and like I don't really touch on that, but from that perspective, last year I was like, I'm surprised he said it. I mean, he has valid points, but I'm surprised he said it in Brooklyn, right? And then a year later, it's like, and it makes me think, like, wait, was he on that for the right reasons? Yeah, so it's all weird. It's really, really weird, man. It's really weird and unfortunate, and like it's sad because like he's one of the very few Duke dudes as a North Carolina fan that I'd be like, oh yeah, that's definitely one of them. That's one of them ones. Like it's like he's a hell of a basketball player, but nah, man, like he's off the list for me.
Like,
he's off the list.
Don't ever want to have a conversation with him. Like, it just seems like it would.
Y'all got to put all y'all. Look, Brandon Ingram, Zion, and Jason Tatum. That's how y'all got to rock with.
That's the new.
That's the new
triad. Like Kyrie, nah, you gotta stay away, and then
can't embrace him. Nope. Can't bring him back on campus, especially that campus.
No,
because that campus, you know, they produce, you know, Richard Spencers and Stephen Millers. Like there is a strong conservative anti-Semitic what do you call wave that has came out of Duke University in the last since 2000, especially post Duke lacrosse.
Maybe Kyrie gets there and they're like, all hail Caesar's home.
Oh man,
at this rate,
strange bedfellows. Yep. If that were the case.
Yep. All right. So enough of